Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up, a Monday edition of Middays with Q coming at you. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quiñones. 2 hours to play with on this August 4th, 2025. As we like to say, a Monday is always an interesting day because it is a lunes, Manolo, Mentiroso, man up Monday. You guys out there, we got to man up for some of our week takes from the last week or so, and we will get into that. No plays on this Monday, no show tomorrow. We'll be traveling, doing some yeoman-like work with the Jersey Shore break, so we'll be back in the saddle on Wednesday. Very busy rest of the week. We are also going to be adding in some branding segments for the NFL season, working on a couple different platforms, and also a couple news and notes that we will give you relatively soon. So as we like to say, lunes, Manolo, Mentiroso, man up Monday on this, the 4th of August, 2025. You can always get social with us, TryX57, TryX57.com, on my IG, my X, and my YouTube account at RichQ on Q. And of course, TikTok, RichQ on the mic, our first segment from our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Don't forget the promo code BYP20. So kind of a interesting weekend in the world of sports, right? Because obviously the NFL preseason Hall of Fame game Thursday, a snooze fest, Lions, Chargers, unless you took the over. If you didn't, sorry. But you got, a lot going on with baseball right now. I mean, the free fall continues for some of these teams, i.e. the New York Yankees. And I don't even know if this is a situation that's going to remedy itself. I don't know if this is a situation that they are going to, this funk that they're going to get out of, but swept by the Marlins, unacceptable. First time in franchise history, just unacceptable. The Yankees are free falling right now. The Astros having a little bit of issues in the AL West. The Mets and the Phillies, obviously 1-2 in the NL East. And then, of course, Milwaukee and the Dodgers trying to pull away from the Cubs and the San Diego Padres, respectively, in the Central and the West. So we'll mix in a little baseball today. I wanted to get into some NFL in the 5 o'clock hour. I'll throw it out right now. NFC, we always talk about it potentially being wide open. Which team is the biggest threat to the Philadelphia Eagles? We'll get into that. But I want to also, get into the story regarding Joel Embiid, because it's not even panic time right now. If you are a Philadelphia 76ers fan, I mean, there's a new update that came out over the weekend of the health of Embiid. And this is from Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, reports that there is genuine concern around the league about the health of Embiid's knee. He adds that Philadelphia's camp is attempting to downplay the concerns, but notes the word is bad about Embiid's health around the rest of the NBA. Let me start by saying this right now at 3 past the 4 o'clock hour Eastern time on a Monday edition of Middays with Q. Joel Embiid is washed. Joel Embiid is cooked. He's done. This notion you're going to get an MVP caliber franchise player to leave this team, hell, get out of the second round, it's done. And once again, the lack of transparency from this franchise regarding medical issues, health concerns, it's blatant, it's malpractice. This is why this friggin' franchise is an absolute joke. A joke, right? A joke. You land the third pick in the draft because the first choice rejects you. Then you lose your top free agent to the rival Knicks, and then you get the Paul George injury, and now you got Joel Embiid health, and here we go. Here we go. This knee was supposed to be fixed, but again, you had lingering more issues last season. You had the swelling that resulted in him being shut down for the year. What was it, a handful of games in? This is not good. This is not good. And listen, hey, that's great that Embiid was trying to fight through the injury and play, but he's cooked, he's washed, he's done. He's done. Now, he's not going to retire because he's got $193 million not to, and that's what's owed to him over the next 3 seasons. But the Embiid that was supposed to be the face of the franchise, the game wrecker, the dominant player on both ends of the floor. It's over. And now the Philadelphia 76ers, they're stuck in a bad marriage. I mean, they can't get out. They'll be on the street. And this is entirely predictable. Like everyone who followed Embiid, everyone who's been watching the Philadelphia 76ers, everyone who follows the NBA and knows what goes on with these franchises, are we shocked by this? No. No one is. I called this 2-3 years ago, but I got blasted for saying they should have traded him. There's no way you can trade him. You don't make that trade in the NBA. You're not going to get, what kind of value you're going to get. He's an MVP, blah, 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 blah. Like, get out of here with that nonsense. Get out of here with that nonsense. He's done. He is done. And now the problem is you're going to have a difficult time moving him. If you're trying to move him, look, he's 31. He is 31. He's a big man that lumbers up and down the floor. And now you got to deal with the effects of that torn left meniscus. I mean, that's not good. He tore the same one back in 2017, and he missed a couple months, I should say. It's just been a bad run of luck if you're a 76ers fan. And a lot of it, I believe, is you made your bed, now you got to lie in it. The fact that he played in 19 games, he was shut down in February. They were not even close to contention. There was a couple, conversations a few months ago that Embiid might be undergoing Kobe Bryant treatment, right? And now it looks like he hasn't kind of found the remedy. And it's no secret that the 76ers have been increasingly, and rightfully so, frustrated with his lack of availability. But now you're in the midst. See, this is why when Sixers fans get all freaking cocky and arrogant talking about what's going on in the Eastern Conference because Tatum goes down and Halliburton goes down, worry about what's going on in your own kitchen, in your own house. Now you got to prepare for this guy missing a boatload of time in 2025, 2026. And oh, by the way, still at about $190 million. I mean, this franchise has never been transparent when it comes to injuries from the get-go. They have never been transparent. Ever. They always make up some load of nonsense, some load of garbage, some load of crap, and everyone's got to get sucked in, and everyone's got to, buy into it. And like I said, I mean, the 76ers are without a doubt one of the most sensitive franchises too. Sensitive franchises. I mean, hell, I'm working down the dial. You couldn't even been critical of the Philadelphia 76ers because we carried their games. Now, don't worry, I was. But they're a sensitive franchise, man. Their run, that organization, even from PR down, the lack of communication, the lack of transparency, what a you-know-what show. And now you got this issue with Embiid to magnify the problems. And now you're going to try to tie it into, well, trade him. Go ahead. Where are you going to trade him? Who's going to take him? Now, I mentioned this. Jonathan Marshall has mentioned this. I've had boatloads of conversation with NBA guys that agreed with me. They should have moved him, and you should focus on the future rather than the present. And I think if you propose a trade, I mean, there's some sentiment and some thought, trade him to Brooklyn. Trade him to Brooklyn. Now, again, you're talking about a package in return. It's going to be on the lighter side in terms of player return. I saw proposed trades, Claxton, Thomas is sign and trade, Jalen Wilson, a couple first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. That's what the 76ers get if they trade him. And obviously, you see what the Nets are getting. His health is going to scare teams. But you have to also be fair and say he is a former league MVP. And I would say when healthy, he's definitely top 10. But the problem is the injuries have piled up over the years. And now when I say, all right, you got a top 10 player, I can't trust him. And that's the problem. I can't trust him. The 76ers are in this boat, and now they got to lie in it. They should have moved him when they had the opportunity, but they chose not to, and now they are stuck. They are stuck, right, with him. They got to deal with that damage, the collateral damage, the nonsense. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. A bitter pill to swallow. Look, teams go through injuries. Franchises go through injuries. Franchise players go down. They go down. We've seen it. It's never fun. It's never fun, but he is washed. He is washed. He's not the same guy. He's never going to be the same guy. And we can sit there and say when he's on the floor, availability, accessibility, yeah, when you're on the floor. But that's been oftentimes, far but few that he's on the floor. It's not his team anymore. It's Maxey's team. You build around Tyrese Maxey. You build around a 24-year-old point guard. You build around a 24-year-old point guard that blossomed into his past season, the past 2 seasons, averaging 25 and 26. You don't build around an injury-prone center who, oh, by the way, is going to be 32, who misses game after game after game after game. First couple years of his career. Then you look at the last several years, 39 games, 19 played. I mean, he is just a walking injury. And it's unfortunate because, yes, when on the floor can be dominating, but you can't trust players like this. We always talk about it. It's like having that great quarterback. But that great quarterback always gets concussed and he's missing 5, 6, 7 games. Sample size, perfect, but never available. You can't win like that. You can't. You cannot win like that. Can't wait for my comment to be deleted. Well, I don't delete comments. 12 past 4 o'clock hour. I think we should rename it to Man Monday. Yeah, that's not happening. It stays Manolo Lunas Mentiroso Man Up Monday. We're not going to deviate from that. The mic stays, the Monday stays, and that's it. Period. All right. So we'll get into a lot of the NBA, NFL, as I mentioned, NFC. Which team is poised to knock off the Philadelphia Eagles? Which team is a threat to knock off the Philadelphia Eagles? And you got a lot of stuff coming down in the NFL. Maybe Shedeur Sanders kind of listened to the show last week. We'll dive into that. You got some quarterback issues going on in the league. We also have a couple of updated odds. I'm already going to give you the week 1 look-ahead line for some of these games. Obviously, the season kicks off in a couple weeks. Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Thursday Night Football is the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles will host the Dallas Cowboys. Some updates on Micah Parsons, Jerry Jones, that issue, the issues going on in D.C. as well. So we got a lot of NFL to dive into. I also saw that Saquon was taken aback, right? Saquon Barkley was shocked by Trump Sports Council mention. But that's a no-go for Saquon. So we'll dive into that as well. A lot to get into on this Monday. Again, 13 past 4 o'clock hour. Crank it up. Monday edition of Middays with Q. We're live. We'll take up to 6 o'clock. Don't forget to follow me on X and, of course, on IG and my YouTube channel at Rich Q on Q. Quickie timeout. We'll reset the table. And as I mentioned, a lot more NBA. We'll get some comments coming in, good, bad, or indifferent on the other side as well.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 16 past 4 o'clock hour. We'll take up to 6 o'clock straight up. We'll get to some of these comments as well. The ones that are actually worth reading through. Don't forget, you can hashtag Middays with Q. We'll take you up to 6 right here on Tracks 57, the IG channel, YouTube, IG, and X. Joe D chimes in, Q, I know you called it a couple years ago. I'm not going to say that Embiid's watch. I think he's got 2 or 3 more years left, but I will agree with you. The 76ers franchise has never been transparent when it comes to injuries. They have not. They have not. And all you're asking for is just be honest. Be honest. No one's sitting there saying peel back the entire curtain, right? No one's saying that. But the fact that he's most likely going to miss the start of training camp, I'm telling you, this is buyer's remorse. This is buyer. You know, when you have players that have really good seasons or they're due contract extensions, and again, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not doing that. I never felt that Embiid, you can trust him. I just never felt that. I've gone on the record. I think he's a front runner. I think sometimes he doesn't play defense. He doesn't play both ends of the floor. And he's injury prone. And I've gone, along with others, hammered. When you talk about Embiid. And I remember when they were discussing the contract extension. And what happened? We came on the air and you guys were chiding me because I said I would not do it. I don't see value in it. I look at the risk to reward. I understand he's an MVP, but I'm not going to break the bank with Embiid because I know eventually he's going to break my heart. He's going to break down. He is going to be a front runner. He's going to say something when things aren't going well that will give you the illusion, the appearance, the sentiment, or the idea that you think he wants out of Philadelphia. I said it. And they turn around, they give him a $195 million extension, and he's already missing time. I mean, go back 2024, 2025. Hell, go back to the last NBA season. He misses the first 6 games, and then he's shut down, and he plays only 19. And he also made it clear he's not going to play in back-to-backs, right? He wants that load management. I mean, this is major, major egg on the Philadelphia 76ers face. It really is. It really is. Here's a player that's guaranteed under contract through 2025, 2026. And he had that $60 million player option for the 2026-2027 season. So technically, he can be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. But he would also be eligible to sign an extension anytime between July 1st, 2025, and June 30th, 2026. So, to me, I think the player's peaked. I believe his best days are behind him. And I also believe that you needed to rip the Band-Aid off and start over. And they chose not to do any of that. The 76ers decided we're going to keep running it back, running it back, running it back. And all they've done is frustrate the hell out of their fan base. That's number one. And number two, they've set themselves back. Like, you can be the most staunch Embiid, staunch Philadelphia 76er defender. And if you can't see the forest through the trees here, I mean, wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's bad. That's bad. And speaking of the NBA, how about the news that my man Luka cashes in? Everyone's cashing in right now. Fox, $229 million extension. Luka cashing in, right? Bridges cashing in, which just disgusted the hell out of me. That's a horrible contract. I said it when we were getting off the air the other day. Horrible contract. By the way, and did you also see that? So Luka had his press conference, and the guy, the myth, the legend, Bronny James wasn't there. Like, come on, dude. You're like the last player on the totem pole. You're the last man on the totem pole. Come on. You can't snub him. Like, who the hell are you? Seriously. You can't snub him. You show up. You're literally the last dude on the roster. And that is, Luka's extension is basically a major turning point right now for the Lakers and their future. Right? But come on. Sign an extension. You got to be there. I think even LeBron, FaceTimed him, whatever. But still, stick around, man. Show you're a team player. But, that's not where we're at anymore. Guys just want to do whatever the hell they want to do. They want to do whatever they want to do. Nick in Wallingford chimes in. Hold on, that's not Nick. I'm sorry. Kevin, I'll get to you in a minute. Sarge, I'll get to you. Here we go. Nick on X. Thank you. All right, Nick in Wallingford chimes in. Q, I don't think it's the organization is not transparent. I just think they're injury prone. If you go all the way back to, again, with Okafor, right? There were some question marks of him coming out of college. He got banged up. He was never the same player. It turned out to be a bust. We can go on and on and on. I think it's just bad luck when it comes to Embiid. Yeah, well, that's an opinion, and that's a take, and I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, I think if you're a franchise and you have your centerpiece, who is supposed to be your block, and he's constantly injured, and you basically are just passing that off as if it's nothing, that's troublesome. If you're going to say he's a top 5 player and a top 10 player, then yeah, with training camp right around the corner in a couple months, it's big news if you're a basketball fan, if you're a Sixers fan. Because everyone was looking at the Eastern Conference and how wide open it is with all these injuries. And now you got to throw in Embiid's name to the mix. By the way, Christmas Day games on NBC, or I should say NBA, Pistons, Knicks, Cavs, Celtics, Lakers, Mavs, Spurs, OKC, Houston, and the Warriors. Sarge chimes in. Q, he is a big guy. I don't think he flips flops. I think he gives his best effort, but maybe he's just an injury-prone cat. That's fine. You can be injury-prone. Again, I understand. Guys get hurt. But they're also the one that basically turned around and did what? They gave him $193 million. You already know. You're dealing, again, you are dealing with a guy that is just off, injured, period. And you can't trust it. You can't trust it. Salim chimes in. Q, you know what team I'm already going to tell you. I think the Washington Commanders, my Commanders, are going to give the Philadelphia Eagles fits this season. I don't care who's in, who's out. I don't care what goes on with the wide receiver position. It's all about Daniels this year. Salim is very high on his Washington Commanders again. But we will get into that in the 5 o'clock hour. I want to rip off a couple more basketball. Omar chimes in Glasgow. Q, yes, the Eastern Conference is definitely wide open. You have to take in consideration the Pacers and also the Boston Celtics, who are in a rebuild, a full-bound rebuild, Q. But I'm still going to throw the Sixers name in the hat. If Embiid can play at least 50 games, you reserve him for the playoffs and join the show as always. That is a big if, man. That is a big if. Man wants to say, I don't want to talk NBA until next May. Well, we're not going to do that. We're talking NBA right now. Maybe you'll read my messages here. I read your messages. What are we doing here? You don't want to talk NBA? That's fine. Chime back in at 5 o'clock when I talk NFL. This is the big stuff, man. This is big stuff. We're going to have 25 weeks to talk NFL. I'm allowed to talk NBA for a couple minutes. Get the hell out of here. I'm going to talk some baseball too. I'm surprised De Facto hasn't chimed in. He usually chimes in with a wise ass comment once in a while, probably because we're not talking about his Eagles. Let me see here. Sixers fan 16 always gets a little giddy. There you go, Q. Now it's wide open for your Knicks and a horrible contract they just gave Bridges. Laugh out loud. I think Celtics are going to be okay in a year or two. Cleveland's on the rise. Don't forget Orlando, and I'm going to give you a sleeper pick. Detroit Pistons. What is their win total? The Pistons, Jonathan Marshall mentioned them as well. Pistons win totals, 2025, 2026. Right now, we'll go through this. Wow, 45.5. Here are your updated odds for the NBA title, NBA Finals. I know it's a very, very future look. But right now, OKC has the shortest odds at 240. My Knicks are second at plus 700. Think about that. And you have to go all the way down. I'm trying to find the Pacers. This is crazy because of the injuries, right? Plus 6,600 right now. Cleveland's at plus 800. Denver's plus 800. Houston's at plus 800. Philadelphia 76ers are sitting at plus 3,300. So if you're a Sixers fan, there you go. You get some value in that. Nick chimes in again. Q, did you see that the Dolphins and Commanders reportedly have discussed a trade regarding Terry McLaurin and Tyreek Hill? I did not see that. I mean, is that where are we going? Who's reporting that? Because I know NFL Rumors is a little different. There's a account that's called NFL Rumors. So I don't know if you want to go by that or not. But these wide receivers, they're going to get settled in with their teams. The same conversation with Parsons. You know, Jerry Jones can say everything he wants. Jerry Jones is holding the cards here. He is, just like Washington is holding their cards. Like Jerry Jones is going to make comments because he knows he can pick and prod the player, because at the end of the day, Jerry Jones isn't going anywhere. And that's why Jerry Jones is not swayed by this nonsense. Now, whether I agree with the way he's handling it, I don't. I think they mismanaged it. But, you know, if you listen to his comments, it's the world of an NFL player, right? I mean, he spent what? 15, 20 minutes talking about Micah Parsons' contract situation. It's going to get resolved. It is. It's going to get resolved. McLaurin is going to get resolved as well. You know, these players, they don't want to get fined. They don't want to lose money. So they believe if they can back their franchises, if they can back the ownership group in a quarter, then these owners are going to budge. And more times than not, it's not that they budge. It's just they know they're businessmen. So they understand what's best for business. And in some of these situations, you pay the player. Are there extreme cases where, you know what, we're not going to pay you? Hold out, go ahead. You want to get fined? You want to lose money? Have at it. Go ahead. Have at it. But again, Jerry Jones is not swayed by this. He's not. That's why he's not going to show his hand. He's not going to, he can be asked 16 different ways if he thinks Micah Parsons is going to be on the field come Thursday in early September when the Cowboys take on the Eagles. He's not going to give you any answers. He's not going to talk about expectations. He's not going to talk about realistic expectations, unrealistic expectations, future goals, future endeavors. He's not going to mention any of that stuff. He's going to dance around the block, and then quietly behind the scenes, they'll get a deal done. They will get a deal done. And then Parsons will show up at camp, and here you go. Kumbaya. He was on the practice field Saturday. What, 15 yards away from Stephen Jones? If you go by the video, they always say, look at the video. Video doesn't lie. They'll get something done. Trust me. So like Omar, relax. D, relax. Damon, relax. They will get something done. You're not going to, look, they're not going to be a good team. We've established that. I don't feel the Dallas Cowboys are going to be any type of threat to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't. I really don't. But you would like to have your best players on the field. Now, whether I believe those players are a little overhyped, i.e. a little overrated, is just my opinion. Just my opinion. Jose in Camden chimes in. Q, do you think the Marlins are real after sweeping the Yankees? No. Absolutely not. What do you mean real? Like they're going to contend for a pennant? No. Come on, Jose. No way, Jose, as we like to say. No. It's a nice story. I mean, I'll say this. The Marlins are a nice story. They won 5 straight. They just swept my Yankees. They're 500. And I think if you look at the wild card, they're 6 games back. So they're within shouting distance. They're within striking distance. It's the Cubs and the Mets, and then you got San Diego, Cincinnati's right there. The NL is not as stacked as I thought it would be. AL is a different story. But no, and I don't know if Jose is a Marlins fan or not. Kind of be rare to have a Marlins fan in these parts. But they're playing much better baseball. They are. Stowers is a good player. Lopez is a good player. Ramirez is a good player. Sanchez is a good player. The pitching's come on a little bit here. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that this team is going to win 95 games. But if this team won, 75, 80 games, that would be a hell of a season for the Miami Marlins. They've been on a really nice tear. I mean, they took 2 out of 3 against Kansas City. They took 2 out of 3 against San Diego. They took 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, 2 out of 3 against St. Louis. They're winning series, and then they just swept the Yankees. Now, see if they can get some fannies in those seats. I mean, their attendance still stinks. If you go back when they played Kansas City, now this shows you what happens in baseball when you win a little bit. They played Kansas City, and they took 2 out of 3. And at the time, they were 7 games under 500. They drew 14,400 fans on July 18th. So we're not even a month since that game. Their last game against New York, in which they won 7-3, which got them to 500. So they're 10-4 over their last 14. The attendance was 35,000. So yes, it's still not a lot. We hammer Miami. We hammer that, that city as far as from a sports standpoint, which we believe with the Panthers winning again. It's not a baseball town. It's not a football town. It's a hockey town. But you start to see they're winning a little bit. Then, it depends on who's coming in, obviously, because it's still the Yankees. So yes, I get that. I understand. But it jumped. 15,000 when they played San Diego to 34,000 when they played the Yankees. So yes, it has to do with the Yankees and that team and the allure, but the fact that they're also winning some ball games. So you do have to give them some credit where credit is due. I didn't think they were going to be a very good baseball team. I really didn't. I thought eventually the Marlins were going to be a team that was going to sell off, just like we're seeing Pittsburgh, just like we're seeing Colorado, Baltimore, which has been a major, if you ask me right now, the biggest disappointments in the baseball season has to be the Baltimore Orioles, one of them. And yeah, the Yankees too, because of that payroll. The Yankees stink. They stink right now. I'm still waiting. I'm waiting. Every time someone says, fire Boone, and then you get the talking heads in New York sit there and say, well, wait a second, who are you going to replace him? It doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter. Get rid of him. Just get rid of him. He stinks. I'm over Boone. I'm over Boone. I'm over the mistakes. I'm over the mismanaging the lineup. I'm over his delusional comments after they lose. Yeah. And I listen to what Jeter said, and I listen to what A-Rod said, and Jeter said, well, you just got to play better. Nah, it goes a little deeper than that, number two. I get it. You got to play better, no doubt. But they're just not. You're going to tell me for all the talent that's on that roster and that lineup that you're 8 games over 500, 112 games into the season, and you're third in the AL East? You're chasing Boston, which is overachieved. You're chasing Toronto, which is overachieved. That's unacceptable. I mean, these are horrible losses. And you allow the Marlins to sweep you for the first time ever? Come on. I mean, you can't. What would they say the other day? You can't make it up. You had all the newest acquisitions, and they implode in that game, 13-12 loss. They imploded. It was embarrassing. You get Edwards hitting a tying 2-run single in the ninth. Then all of a sudden he's racing home with the Ramirez chopper in front of the plate. I mean, the Marlins had no business winning that game. None. Yankees had won 79 straight games when scoring 10-plus runs, which was the longest streak in Major League Baseball since 2019. You get an oh, by the way, homer from Stanton, who when he's actually playing can hit one. Grisham hits one. So you get 2 3-run shots, you got a 9-4 lead, and then all of a sudden you give up 6 in the 7th. It is an embarrassing brand of baseball. Period. The Sox have been playing well. Boone should stay for another 5 years. Get the hell out of here. Get rid of him. It should have been. They should have made the move. They should have fired Aaron Boone 3 years ago, 4 years ago. At this point, just stop. Just stop. Like, just make a change. And the thing is, he's going to push back on accountability because of what Jeter and Rodriguez. I mean, you want to put your resume to those guys? You want to talk about gut check time? Come on. Just move on. Just move on. They're not going anywhere. And you can be a Boone defender all you want. You can talk about Boone's good with the job details. You can talk about, he eats all the crap. He protects the guys. He deflects the media. They're playing bad baseball. And for the talent they have, they shouldn't be in this spot. And I get it. It's the American League. It's the AL East. It's going to be a little more competitive, but I'm not going to defend him anymore. Get rid of him. Done. See ya. Goodbye. I don't want to hear this. Well, who are you going to hire? I don't care. Hire the hot dog guy, the vendor, Francesa. I don't care. Just get rid of him. It's bad. It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing level of play that, I'm sorry, without sounding cocky, like a typical Yankee fan, it's unacceptable. This is not Yankee baseball. They don't play like this. It's a $297 friggin' million payroll, and you just got swept by the $66 million Marlins. And they're going to do diddly come playoff time. They might not even make the playoffs. Shoddy offense, shoddy defense. Guys can't hit in the clutch, and here we go. And this is where we're at. It's frustrating, especially when you're better than that. And everyone's, we want to have patience, see how the new roster kind of shakes out, for better, for worse. Here we go. Moving parts, little character. I don't care. I don't. I really don't. You need to go on one of those 10 out of 13 runs. You got to rip off a bunch of wins. Can't be a 500 baseball team over your last, 10 games. They got a lot of questions, man. They got a lot of question marks. And I don't know if they're going to be answered. And look, now you think of their schedule. You got 3 against Texas. Not going to be easy. You got 3 at home against Houston. Minnesota has shown that, that's a tricky spot. St. Louis, Tampa, AL East. Then you got Boston. You got 4 for Boston. I mean, we're going to see where this team's at in 3 weeks, August 24th. I mean, these teams have an opportunity to bury the Yankees, and the Yankees had an opportunity to do that early season, gut punch, kind of bury the Boston Red Sox, and they couldn't do it in May. They couldn't do it in June with those horrible losses. All right, 4:40, quick timeout. More comments on the other side. We will get to your comments as well. Keep it locked in. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 4:43. Let's get to some of these comments. And people say, long season, one series doesn't matter. The heck it does. That June sweep is huge now. Yeah, it is. 100%. Actually, for the past 24 years, this Yankees baseball. Really? Come on, stop it. On a Monday. Mike in Ohio chimes in. Q, did you see the news report regarding Shedeur Sanders and his, quote, shoulder injury? I read that. Well, a couple of things. When we get into the 5 o'clock hour heavy, I saw that, someone said, he said his arm is fine. And then I saw a former NFL quarterback on X basically say, well, that's player speak for I'm about to get traded. I don't know where that comes from. He also said that he doesn't want Dion at practice, which I think is smart. I really do. I don't think you want that distraction. And I think you scared away Michael and Scott with those Halloween commercials. I don't know about that. Did you see, speaking of which, that the Yankees can beat these kids in the baseball commercial? Not now. Did you see that kid sign a 1-year deal? Not with the Savannah Bananas, The other kid, I don't know if that was made up or not. What was that? The Providence team, the Rhode Island team, right? Did anyone see that? The kid hit a home run. Someone saying, I was a bat boy. And then they wound up signing the kid, I think, to like a 1-day tryout or a 1-day extension. A 1-day extension. A 1-day, what he signed for 1 day. Omar chimes in, Q, even if Embiid doesn't play one more game, he's still top 10 ever in my book. No way. That's just, bro. Sorry, man. Not even a remote. I mean, that's just a dumb take. There's no way you're sticking Embiid in the top 10 of. Do we not friggin' forget like the history of the NBA? I feel, what do we just gloss over that? Do we just forget about Oscar Robinson? Do we forget about Mikan? Do we forget about Jerry West? Do we forget about Wilt Chamberlain? Do we forget about Oscar Robinson? Do we forget about Wes Unseld? Do we forget about these guys? Do we forget about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Come on. Stop with that crap and nonsense. Top 10, not even top 30, top 40. Jordan, James, Shaq, Magic, Kobe, Michael, Larry, Wilt, Duncan, Robinson, Steph, Oscar, Barkley, Hakeem, Dirk, Dr. J, Karl Malone. Do you want me to keep going? My God. Sixers fans are so friggin' delusional. You've won nothing with Embiid. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. Squadouche. You've won nothing with this guy. Why do you get sucked into this top 10 crap? He's cooked. He's done. He's done. He's done. And I'll even go even a little further on a Lunas Manolo Mentiroso Man Up Monday. He might not even play the entire season. How's that? How's that? He might not even play the entire season. Man, you guys are just, you get sucked into this nonsense, man. You get absolutely sucked into this nonsense at times. Guys constantly injury prone, period. Constantly. Scott chimes in, Q, don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but did you see your girl Lonnie Anderson passed away? Yes. Jennifer Marlowe. That's right. The gorgeous yet very astute receptionist on an all-time classic show, WKRP in Cincinnati. Yes, I did see that. I did. That's unfortunate. Everyone's passing away. It's horrible. I mean, I get it. You get older, but still. It stinks. Nobody wants to get old. Right? Omar chimes back in. Q, I'm just going to say it. He's top 10. You're trying to get me aggravated. But that's fine. It's your opinion. That's fine. And the man's point with the Yankees and the Red Sox on that sweep, that was bad. And the Yankees have still shown you they're a feast or famine team. It's all about the long ball. That's it. I mean, can we play a little bit of small ball here? Can we move the ball over? Can we move runners over? They don't want to do that. They don't. It's a bad brand of baseball. It really is. It's not to my liking because every single season it comes down to what? The playoffs. I would say the same thing with the Phillies and Harper. You know, for the year that Schwarber's putting up, which is, his numbers are just incredible. I mean, it's not like this guy is going to bat like 386 and have 200 hits. All he does is crank home runs. I mean, they brought him over and he has been everything they expected. 46 home runs, 47 home runs, 38 home runs, 38 home runs. This guy's got 104 hits. He's got 38 home runs. He's batting .254, which, as it stands, is one of his second or third highest batting averages of his career. I mean, he had the big year, Boston. He had .291 before he came over to the Phillies. But he just goes about his business. And he's a post-game player. He's a post-game player, big time, man. 21 career postseason home runs. Now, I can sit there and really rankle Philly fans and say, you know, when you look at Harper, and the pedigree of Harper and all the years that Harper has been with the Philadelphia Phillies, do we now sit there and say that move has been what? Underwhelming? Because ultimately, what was the reason the Philadelphia Phillies signed Bryce Harper? To win a championship, to win a World Series. That's it. And coincidentally enough, the year he bolts Washington, that's when the Nationals win it. I mean, does anyone else kind of find that strange? Coincidental, right? And Washington offered him a new contract, but he didn't want to be there anymore. He wanted to get paid. The Dodgers were looking at him, and the Phillies were looking at him. And the Phillies turned around and they broke the bank, 13 years, $330 million. Now, Trout broke it back when he had the contract for 12 years, $430 million. But has Harper given the Phillies, what they paid for, the ROI? Now, 2002, Championship Series MVP. He had the World Series appearance. Okay. He fought through that UCL, right, issue in his right elbow. But he's also been a little injury prone, right? Had to deal with the Tommy John surgery in 2023. But I look at Harper, and if I'm going to, kill the Yankees, and it's different with Judge, because obviously, Judge has been with the Yankees since day one. But if we're talking about realistic expectations, right? Realistic expectations, has Harper been that guy for the Philadelphia Phillies? I mean, I think Schwarber has exceeded expectations for the Phillies more than Harper has, right? I mean, has Bryce Harper been everything the Phillies desired, wanted, and asked for? Because if you say yes, the one little caveat, the one little hole in that argument is they haven't won a World Series yet with Harper, right? I'm trying, Michael. I'm trying, but you know how it is. You know how it is. They want to knock you off the perch, man. They want to come out of the woodwork, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I really do. That's a stand-up member of the corporation. I wish I can say the same regarding the entire corporation, but I guess guys have offices on different floors and they approach things differently. Way beyond. Oh, Schwarber. Cubs have to be kicking themselves. Bad judgment. Yes. Yep. Sox have been great since dumping Devers. Yeah. That's a good point. But they are underachieving. I'm sorry, they are overachieving, and there might be something to it. There might be something to it. Look, sometimes you get rid of players, and even if they're really good, you want to change the dynamic. You want to change the culture in the dugout. You want to change the culture in the locker room, and that's what Boston did. Sally Boy chimes in. Q, I'm not a Sixers fan, but I think you're being a little too critical and harsh and beat. I wouldn't say he's top 10. He's definitely a top 15, 20 player of all time. But we're not even having this conversation today, Sal. We're not. We're not having the conversation today because all I'm saying, he's not the same player. He is not the same player he once was. And you guys want to have a conversation like he's the same player. And that's where you lose me. If we're going to criticize quarterbacks that get concussed, every time we talk Tua, and so, you guys know I like Tua. You guys hammer Tua. Tua is always one hit away. Tua deals, he's dealt with a lot of concussions in his career. But we've seen in short bursts, okay, when Tua was healthy, then again, he can play, right? He can play. He's a good quarterback. We know that. He's a really, 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 really good quarterback. So he's just not accessible. He can't be on the field. But when he's there, we applaud him. We say, hey, he's a good quarterback. He puts up some good numbers, but I can't trust him. And that's a big problem to have with a franchise quarterback. Lamar Jackson a couple of seasons ago, he's injury prone. Can't trust him. Daniel Jones, injury prone. We already know. I'm just using that example. Carson Wentz coming off those injury prone. You can't trust these guys. Embiid's in the same boat. So I'm not going to sit here because his career is still going on, which I believe is coming to an end. He's not 10. He's not top 10. I'm sorry. Joel Embiid's not top 10 in NBA history. That's just, it's madness. It's for you guys to even suggest that or even want to debate it or argue just shows me that you're friggin' clueless. Now, I respect all opinions, but that opinion is asinine. It really is. It's absolutely asinine. You got to talk body of work, man. Oh, by the way, I didn't even bring up Joker. I didn't bring up Luka. And we were talking about right now, I didn't bring up Giannis. I think I mentioned LeBron. You have to be available, man. You have to. If you're not available, then I don't want to hear it. I need you out there. If you're a quarterback, 16, 17 weeks. If you're a franchise center in the NBA, I need you out there. 70 plus games. 70 plus games. Hell, even if you're looking at the 10 best players right now in the Eastern Conference, Giannis, Brunson, right? Mitchell, Banchero, Cunningham, Detroit. I would say Mobley, Brown, Karl Anthony Towns, even though I get very frustrated. And then Embiid is probably right there at the top 10. But he's certainly not a top 10 player of all time. Trae Young, mention him. Tatum, Brown, Halliburton after the playoff run that he had. So, just back the bus up, man. Stop with the nonsense. Sometimes you guys, you show your true colors with these arguments. They're really bad. Mike chimes in. Q, I know you mentioned Sanders before, and it's a good thing Deion's not going to show up. Any issues with that shoulder? No, I mean, he came out and said there's no issues. We talked a lot about Deion and Shedeur Sanders last week and how a lot of, we all believe that, let the kid basically come into his own, give him an opportunity. But again, I can't sit here and tell you that he's going to be an NFL caliber quarterback. I'm not watching the Browns. I'm following probably as much or as little as you guys are. I just need to see it unfold during preseason. And if he gets a shot and makes the roster, then during the regular season. And I need a handful of games. I'm not going to write these guys off after 3, 4, 5 games. That's not fair. That's not. But I'll say this. The fact that, he's basically like, stay away, Dad. No Deion, no distractions. That's a good step because he's going to be inundated with questions constantly. Constantly. Mike again in Ohio chimes in. Q, I'm right near the Hall of Fame. Did you watch the ceremony this week? What did you think of the Sharp conversation? You're talking about, what was it? Sterling Sharp, who finally got in, right? And I guess mentioning Shannon. I saw Shannon Sharp. I'm glad you brought this up. Shannon Sharp basically come out and say everything that happened, he wish it wouldn't have happened on the weekend that his brother gets inducted. Now, Sterling Sharp was a really good tight end. He was. It's just unfortunate that Sterling Sharp's career was derailed by injuries. But he had a run where he was as dominant, as any. Like the tight end position is so unique because Antonio Gates, if you think about this, right? And let me finish my point on Shannon. Don't make it about you, my man. You got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. You had to pay out more than you made in your career because you decided you're going to get involved with a 20-something-year-old. That's on you. So don't get on the media or others because you got to come out and say, well, I wish it wasn't brought up, we're having this conversation in light of the fact that my brother's about to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. My man, you brought that on yourself. Timing is everything in life. Now, my Gates point is, remember, Antonio Gates basically was an undrafted free agent. Think about that for a minute. He was an undrafted free agent. College basketball player. Stud. I'm going to get into that on the other side. 5 o'clock, quick timeout. We'll come back. Keep it locked in.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 5 o'clock straight up. Good stuff with comments. Keeping rolling. I think Vince banned you from today with last week's Sanders talk. Rightfully so. Who's the guy above your left shoulder? Was he good? You're talking about up top is Babe Ruth. That right there, my friend. I'm surprised you don't know who that is. That is the Duke of Flatbush. That's Duke Snyder. Duke Snyder was my father's favorite player. That is autographed photo of Duke crashing into a wall. Yep. Duke Snyder was a great player because remember, too, when there was the Brooklyn Dodgers, you were either a Brooklyn Dodgers fan or a Yankees fan. And my father actually growing up was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, and then the Dodgers moved out west, and then you almost by default had to be a Yankees fan, but he always followed the Dodgers franchise. But he was a big Duke Snyder fan. 2,100 hits, 407 home runs. I think he batted in 1333, 295 batting average, Hall of Fame for the Duke of Paducah. You never heard of Duke Snyder or Babe Ruth? Wow. Okay. Interesting. I mean, that kind of shows your lack of baseball knowledge, but there's always one in every group. All right. Oh, I was mentioning about Antonio Gates. It's funny too because now I don't want to hear the crap. Oh, Phillip Rivers never had anyone to throw to. Oh. that Phillip Rivers crap argument saying he's better than Eli, which you couldn't even hold Eli's jock. Yeah, he only had wall-to-wall Hall of Famers, i.e. Antonio Gates and LaDainian Tomlinson. But Gates, you talk about great tight ends. Antonio Gates was a phenomenal tight end. 6'4", 265, just went up and he caught it. Again, an undrafted free agent, right? Played at Kent State, but also played a little bit. If you remember, junior and senior year, he bounced around Michigan State, Eastern Michigan as well. And then he just blossomed into a beast. I would sit, if you talk about, which I think is a very overlooked position, the tight end position in the NFL, if you're talking about like all-time great tight ends, there are a lot of, again, you got to, people forget Jackie Smith was a great tight end. John Mackey was a great tight end, right? Charlie Sanders was a great tight end. Ozzie Newsome was a great tight end. Mike Ditka was a great tight end. Now, we're kind of going back. Casper was a great tight end, short-lived. I wish Bavaro played longer. He didn't. I wish Shockey played longer. He didn't. Coates was a really good player. But I still look at, if you're talking about the top 2, 3, 4, Gates, Gonzalez, Gronk, Ditka, tight end position, it's such a lost art, man. Like I feel as though if you go back, Jerry Smith was a very good tight end. If you go back, like we're talking 20, 30 years ago, the tight end was prominent. Kellen Winslow, which, hybrid kind of, if you think about it. But it was a hybrid position. It really was. It was a position that I thought was underutilized. And I think it started to come about more in the early 80s when we would use tight ends to chip or be disruptive off the line to the edge rusher. Washington decided we have to implement a tight end to chip Lawrence Taylor. The Giants always used a tight end down the seam. Washington used their tight end down the seam. The Dallas Cowboys, obviously, all the years with Novacek down the seam. Then I think it started to blossom back. The tight end position to me, I think it is such an underrated position in football, man. And the Chargers had a great one. Antonio Gates was fantastic. Tony Gonzalez was a great tight end. He was a great basketball player. Gronk, great tight end. I would say the top, if we go top 5 or let's just say the top 10, Kelsey, you have to throw him in there, right? Gonzalez, Gates, Gronk, Ditka, was that 4 or 5? But see, I also kind of go a little more old school, and I know people won't like that. John Mackey was a great tight end. If you went Kelsey, Ozzie Newsome, Gronk, Gonzalez, Gates, Winslow, that's 6. Mackey 7, Ditka's 8. You throw Sharp in there. You throw Casper in there. I feel we always remember tight ends, right? I think we always remember tight ends. Like, you're like, oh man, like Shockey was a beast. Bavaro was a beast, but their time was very short-lived because of the injuries. And it's unfortunate, but I believe that they I believe some of these guys never got their just due, and we kind of glossed over them, if that makes sense. Because the tight end, it's not the sexy position, man. But like Novacek, Witten, they used to kill the Giants. They used to kill the Eagles. I mean, just always found a way to get open. Always. So annoying. It was so annoying. But they're really good, and they created those seam routes. And that's what made the offenses fun in the NFL. Once you got the tight end involved, and it opened everything up. I mean, think about those Dallas teams, man. With Emmett, you had the fullback and Moose, you had Novacek, and then you had, the weapons on the outside with Harper and Irvin. That offense was ridiculous. But the safety valve for a young quarterback, really for any quarterback, is having a good back out of the backfield and then a tight end. And these guys played it, man. These guys played it at a high level. I think Sharp was Robert's a big-time Packers fan. Q, I don't think Sharp's top 10, but definitely an all-time Packers great, deserving of the Hall of Fame. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I believe he was. Let me see. Wasn't Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own loosely based on Duke Snider? No, it was not. Jimmy Fox and Hack Wilson. Yep. Because Jimmy Fox, and if you remember too, Jimmy Dugan, but they called him, obviously, that was his name in the movie. Jimmy Fox and Hack Wilson, they were big time. They were great hitters, home run hitters, but they also dealt with alcoholism. They had addiction. And Jimmy Fox, you talk about a guy that, robbed of his career. His numbers for when he played, the numbers were staggering. He had over 500 home runs. And we're going back like in the, 20s, 30s, right? Which is unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. Played 10 years with the A's, the Philadelphia A's. And then he played 5 or 6 years with the Boston Red Sox. But again, he just, he had health problems. And I don't know if he got addicted to any pain medicine or anything like that, but he definitely, he had issues with drinking. Yeah. He passed away, and I'll have to look it up, but I remember watching a biography on him. I think he passed away. He choked while eating dinner. And I think I got to pull this up because I think in the bio they said his wife passed away from choking too, that's bizarre, right? Very bizarre. Sarge chimes in. Q, I think for my money, Dave Casper, extremely underrated tight end that goes to the post. Yep. Casper was a very good tight end. Ben Winter Coates. Yeah, that was a great nickname, by the way. He was a solid tight end, man. He was a very solid tight end. I don't think he got his just due. He was what I would call steady Eddie, right? I think he was right around 500 plus receptions, right around 6'500 yards. I don't think he had a lot of touchdowns, but he was as solid as they come, man. And, he had some great connections. I mean, think about those. Now, I'll tell you this. I remember, because I was at this game, that's when they threw snowballs. One of the other times they threw snowballs. It was, I think that game was it had to be in Giants Stadium. Or maybe that was a San Diego game. No, the San Diego game when the Giants beat them was snowballs. I'm sorry. The Coates game was 96 because the Chargers made the Super Bowl in 95. They got waxed by the 49ers, right? 96, the Patriots made the Super Bowl and they lost to the Green Bay Packers. But I remember the second or last game in the regular season, Coates had a ridiculous, he went up like among like 3 or 4 giant defenders and just had this unbelievable catch late in the game. And they won the game. I think it was second or third, or maybe the last game in the regular season. I vividly remember that because it was just in a microcosm how the Giants played friggin' defense that year. But anyway, he was a really good player. He was a really good player. But a lot of these guys, like Shockey, if Shockey never got hurt and if Shockey never ran his mouth, Shockey probably would have stayed with the Giants and Shockey probably would have retired like as an all-time Giant. Like he was an absolute beast. He was a beast, but he got hurt. And then Giants went on and won the Super Bowl because Kevin Boss had the 43-yarder. They didn't need Shockey anymore. Shockey eventually went to New Orleans, finally won a ring with them, if you remember, and then finished career with Carolina. But if you look at Shockey, you know, a lot of receptions and a lot of yards short term, right? But didn't put up a lot of touchdowns. But he was an absolute beast. Fullback is a lost art. It is. You don't see a lot of teams with fullbacks anymore. You don't. You really don't. The lead block. I don't like. My thing is too. What annoys me the most with some of these NFL offenses, like if you have that second and short, 3rd and 1, why are we getting the quarterback in a shotgun when we know it's going to be a delayed draw? Like get under center and utilize a fullback. But who was probably the last great fullback in the NFL that you guys can think of? I mean, when I say, you know, there isn't a single last fullback because the position's kind of like, do we look at Allstott as a fullback / running back? Like I look at Allstott as a fullback because he was also trying to pave the way for Warwick Dunn. Like to me, I look at him like kind of I don't know. I'm trying to think who would it be? The kid from the 49ers? He wasn't a bad fullback, right? Allstott to me is kind of your last great fullback. Moose Johnson was a pretty damn good fullback, right? Short term, short yardage situations, but they don't utilize the fullback anymore. You know, they call it the blocking back, but it's really there to chip. It's not like it really was. Fox, great memory. Cute. Yes. Yeah, that was a great movie, by the way. That's a very underrated movie, League of Their Own. Tom Hanks he was phenomenal in that movie. Absolutely phenomenal. Shockey was a beast. Yep. I remember they said, you know, don't Christian him just yet when he ran over the defensive back in that Hall of Fame game. That was his welcome to the NFL moment. Yeah, Kyle Juszczyk. Yes. Didn't his wife work with didn't she come up with the jackets for what's her name? Taylor Swift, right? Going Rathman. I remember Tom Rathman. He was a pretty good back. Well, I'm sorry. He was a pretty good fullback. Yeah. I hate when these guys have like great careers and then they end like with another team. Like Rathman, you think of him as a 49er, not as a Raider. But no, I like Tom Rathman. How about this one? How about Sam Adams? Or George Adams, not Sam Adams. Sam Adams was a football player, also a beverage of your choice. George Adams played for the Giants. He was a very good blocking back. He was a very good fullback. Only played like 3 or 4 years with the Giants, but he was pretty good. And of course, you'll know who his son is, Jamal Adams. I try to make this Shockey story quick. Go ahead, fire away. We'll read it off. Take your time. We'll go to break. That'll give you time to comment there, man. See, that's what we do on a Monday edition. All right, quick timeout. 20 past 5 o'clock hour. The man and a Shockey story on the other side.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 21 past 5 o'clock hour. We'll take you up to 6, see what the man says. Two blackjack players arguing over a deal hand. They were about to fight a dealt hand. They were about, really? Was it the $5 table? When it used to be the $5 table. Shockey stands up from in between them and holds each with one arm until security shows up. That happened at Borgata. Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Shockey was that guy. Shockey always looked for the contact. He can have the end zone right in front of him, but he decided, let me slow down and try to meet a defensive back, which used to drive Fossil and then Coughlin absolutely crazy. But very good back. Exceptional back. Great college player, too. A tight end position, fullback position, these are all lost dark. You know, I wanted to get into a little bit these threats in the NFC when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I was pulling up some numbers, and also Kevin C. chimes in, Q, I'm not going to get giddy, but you're seeing the tapes come out of New York Giants training camp. They're not going to be as bad as you think. Malik Neighbors looks incredible. I know Dart's moving around. Wilson with the moon ball. Look, Kevin, like you, I'm a big Giant fan. We talk about this all the time. I know the Giant fans that chime in. We're not even done training camp. And I know you guys want to hang your hat on something. This team was 3-14. They have players, but as I pointed out, the first month plus of the schedule is going to do them in. But I think Neighbors can have a really good year. And I think this kid Carter is going to be a big-time player too. All right, so here are the teams. I'm going to give you a little reasoning, a little rationale. You already know that I believe Washington is going to be able to push the Philadelphia Eagles, whether they have all their horses to go. I'm still a believer in Daniels. I'm a believer in that coaching staff. And I also think that Washington caught everyone off guard last season. They're not going to do that again this season. And conversely, the Eagles still got to look over their shoulder. So I think Washington can not only push the Eagles, but I'm looking at the games that I've kind of marked. You always want to go out and win your divisional games. But there are a couple games that if you're a Washington Commanders fan, you can't trip up. You can't trip up on the road against Atlanta. You can't trip up against the Bears. You can't trip up against the Dolphins. You can't trip up on the road against the Vikings. I'm telling you right now, I think, listen, they're gonna pay Terry. They're gonna pay him. They're gonna pay McLaurin. They're going to pay him. He's going to get a contract because you need him offensively. And Debo with his, I guess the NFL Network did a spot with Debo, and they made light of like, his hand, and then actually they mentioned his thumb or whatever he sprained or dislocated, and they weren't supposed to say it. I don't know what Debo's going to give him. Debo looks out of shape. Like, I'm not even joking. I know people have made fun of him. I'm not going to go that route. He's got to get in shape. Like, I mean, do you not care anymore? And this is a guy that we were talking a couple years ago was like a beast of a player. 2021, was it 22? He was a stud. We all fell in love with Debo. And then, like all these other players who get hurt, the production goes down. But I think Washington, if they can get through some of those stumbling blocks and they have a nice start to the season, they match up well. They're not afraid of the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not. They just got overwhelmed in that NFC Championship. That's all that was. So they look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they're not going to be intimidated. They're not. The second team, and I know it's easy to say, but again, I'm going to give you my reasoning behind it. If the Detroit Lions didn't stink up the joint defensively, then the Detroit Lions are sitting there and they got to host the Philadelphia Eagles, who are coming off a physical game against the Rams in the divisional round. I would have taken my shots with the Lions. It might have been a hell of a game. It could have been a 45-42 type of game. But offensively, again, they match up with the Eagles. The difference is the front four of the Philadelphia Eagles and that front four of the Detroit Lions. The Lions have to clean up their defense. If the Lions can clean up their defense, they should win the NFC North because by all accounts, Williams looks bad. I'm not sold on Love, and you already know how I feel about the Minnesota Vikings in their quarterback position. You're asking a kid coming off a major injury to win 13, 14 games like Darnold did last year. It's the Lions division. And if the Lions can jump out of the gate and they have 2 games, they will be tested early on, Green Bay and the Bears. Then they have the Ravens, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. So they've got a little bit of a daunting task. They're not going to win 15 games. But if they can win 12, 13, they can get home field. This is it for Detroit. Like, I believe the window of opportunity for the Detroit Lions is now. Eagles had their Super Bowl. Washington's a young team. Green Bay is still a relatively young team. Minnesota has a young quarterback. The NFC South, not worried about. NFC West, a lot of moving parts. Like, it's right there for the Detroit Lions. They should be able, if they can figure out a way to get home field advantage, you let Philly come to them. They have a good quarterback. They have good wide receivers. They have a good running back. They have a decent tight end. Gibbs is a nice player. St. Brown is a stud. Williams is a stud. Laporta is a nice player. Sam Laporta is a really nice player. He's a decent tight end. They have a pretty good offensive line. Now, do I trust Jared Goff more than I would trust, say, Jalen Hurts? Well, the offensive lines, respectively, they kept Jared Goff and Hurts upright. Jared Goff is at a point of his career where are we looking at him to take that step where, okay, you're a very good quarterback, now be a great quarterback? The numbers which suggest over the last several seasons, if you just took the name Jared Goff away and I told you 65%, 67%, 72% completion percentage, 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards, 4,600 yards, 29, 30, 37 touchdowns, you would say that's a top 5 quarterback. But now we insert the name Jared Goff and you're like, and why? Because we're looking at that loss against the Washington Commanders, where the defense gave up 45 points. Jared Goff had 3 picks in that game. Also, in the game against Minnesota that they won easily, it was not Darnold's best effort, and Goff still had 2 picks in that game, but he didn't have to do much because that was a blowout. So right now, I think the Lions window has to happen. You've got to keep it open a little bit. And I don't know where I'm at with Green Bay. I'm not a Jordan Love believer, if that makes sense. They finally kind of figured it out. with their wide receivers. And my concern with Love is that I don't know. I don't know how I can put it together. So when you pressure him, and I'm not talking about knocking him off his spot, defensively, go back and watch what the Eagles were able to do. He missed a lot of throws and he had 3 very bad picks. And 2 were backbreaking. Like that game was there for Green Bay to win. I mean, it was a 10-3 game, right? In the third quarter. And then the Eagles started to pull away. But even at, 16-10, I think at one point that game was. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were within striking distance. He didn't play particularly well. So it just alarms me in the big spot, right? That was a 16-10 game. They scored. Eagles come back with a field goal, and then you have downs, interception, end the game. I mean, even when they were down 10-0 and they forced a punt. So this is how they started this game. Remember, it was 7-0, punt, 10-0, then a pick, then a punt, then a missed field goal. So right there, they're leaving points off the board. Then another interception at 10-0 going into the locker room. I'm not sold on Green Bay. And the Rams, are we just looking at their defense? How much does Stafford have left in the tank? If we're being objective, the Rams played the Eagles the toughest. Absolutely. But Stafford's already got some injuries. He's 37, his back's acting up. So you don't know. That game in the snow, he threw the ball 44 times. Their defense could not stop Barkley. He had a 76-yard touchdown run, a 62-yard touchdown run. But the Rams were in that game. They played hard. So I would say maybe the Rams defensively can match up with the Eagles. I'm still not entirely sold on Green Bay. I think Green Bay and the Rams could be a big problem, and the Lions window is closing fast. You might be right. When we're talking about the Lions window closing, yes. I think Jacobs is more of a focus this year. So Love can manage at first. That's what I would do. Yeah. I mean, I hear where you're coming from with that. You know, are they going to be that run-heavy team? You're talking about a running back that averaged 4.4 yards a carry his first year in Green Bay behind a good offensive line. That should take the pressure off of Jordan Love. The other thing is the young wide receivers. Remember a couple years ago, Aaron Rodgers couldn't stand these guys. Aaron Rodgers was so bent out of shape with these wide receivers because they were dropping everything. Now you got some playmakers. I think I am just not a Love fan or believer, I should say. I'm not a big believer in Love, but you've got Golden, you've got Reed, you got Watson, you've got some playmakers. I know Watson's banged up as well. If Jacobs goes down, they're in trouble because both of their backups, Wilson, Emmanuel Wilson, and Lloyd are questionable with some injuries as well early on in training camp. But they have to, if the Lions trip up, maybe it is there for the Green Bay Packers to win a division. I go with the team that has shown me before, and I know Green Bay went on the road and they waxed the Dallas Cowboys a couple of years ago, but I'm more confident in Jared Goff at home with that crowd and that stadium with those offensive weapons on that turf than I am with, say, Love going on the road and trying to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia. That home field advantage, it's no longer. It's no longer. We talk about home field advantage in Green Bay. It's just not. Lambeau Field, it's not. You can beat these guys. But again, he's a good quarterback, right? He looked good against the Eagles in the playoffs. Jacob showed me something, but yes, Love needs to take next step, and if he does, they can do something. Yeah, that's what we say, the next step, right? The next step. Like, what is that next step? So Jordan Love, This is going to be his 5th season in the NFL. His 5th season. Now, to be fair, he wasn't a full-time starter years 1 and 2. I thought he played well his rookie year, and I was waiting for that next step, but his numbers trailed off in year number 2. Now, he played in 15 games, but he also threw for only 3,300 yards, 25 touchdowns. His full-time starter year, he threw for 4,200 yards and 32 touchdowns, and he was sacked 30. He wasn't sacked as much, so if the line can protect him as well. Look, good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Good quarterback, but I think at times can be a frustrating quarterback. Like, what love am I going to get? Am I going to get 16 of 32 for $182 and a pick? Or am I going to get 20 of 27, 265 and 2 touchdowns? But to Scott's point, that offense needs to be predicated on the ground game. And the Eagles, we know the Eagles are going to be a run-first team. And now what happens is everyone is going to key an eye on Saquon Barkley. They're going to start stacking the box. Okay, Jalen Hurts, go out and make a throw. We dare you to try to beat us. And he's shown that he can do it. He really has. Kevin chimes in, Q, it's an understatement to say Malik Neighbors looks unguardable. He's poised for a big-time season. Yes, he is. Malik Neighbors is a stud. He is definitely a stud. I think he's a fantastic football player. And you can start to see that, Wilson's getting in a nice little rapport with those moon balls. But remember, and I caution you guys, when you're looking at Twitter or IG or Facebook, or you're going online, you're seeing videos, some of these guys that these wide receivers are going against, they're going to be out of a job in another day or two. I'm just calling it the way it is, man. If you're doing it against first team corners and DBs, well, that's also alarming. That's alarming. But listen, Neighbors, great receiver, great young receiver, had to work on the footwork, that toe drag. But man, for a guy that played 15 games, 1,200 yards, he had 109 catches, phenomenal. Just can't get hurt. He dealt with the concussions, but he started to come on. He's going to be a nice target again for Russell Wilson. Q, who in your opinion has the best home field in the NFL? Give me your top 3. Ooh. I don't even know if there's I'll let you guys answer. Does home field advantage really still exist in the NFL? Because we've seen teams go on the road and win. We've seen teams go on the road and win NFC championships. Green Bay doesn't have that allure. Pittsburgh doesn't. Baltimore's a tough place to play in. I'll say Baltimore's a tough place to play in. Kansas City, it just doesn't have that allure. It's a noisy stadium. Everyone says the crowd noise. I still think Seattle is because of their crowd noise and just that environment. I think that is a very tough stadium to play in, man. If you can win a game on the road in Seattle, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good question. And you can't even look by some of these teams like their record at home, because again, it doesn't really lend you to too much stuff. Buffalo is still a tough place to play in, man. The teams that went undefeated last year at home, Buffalo, Kansas City, the Eagles dropped 1. They were 8-1. What did Baltimore do? Baltimore lost 2 at home last year. Seattle is still a very tough place to play in. Even though last year they didn't play particularly well at home. They were a better away team. Go figure. If we go Legion of Doom days, Seattle. If you're going Favre days, Green Bay. Kansas City tough. Baltimore tough. Philly tough. I don't see anyone in the NFC South. The Saints back in the day, that used to be a tough stadium. Arizona, no. The Rams, no. I would say, back me in a corner right now, Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Philly. Denver. All right, there you go. Thank you. I overlooked Denver. Denver's always a very tough place to play in. Yep. Bronco ball, mile high. Yep. They were 6-2 last year at home. Yep. That's a good one. Denver. Remember, too, you're talking altitude. You're talking the crowd. They pipe in that crowd noise, some of these stadiums, cold weather. I don't want to go to Denver in December at 4:25 kickoff. No way. No. I don't want to go to Seattle 4:25 in November, December. Hell, I don't want to go to, Philly in January, 8 o'clock kickoff in that nonsense with that weather. So, yeah, those are 4 or 5 teams that I think home field advantage, but I don't believe home field's like it was, years and years ago, man. Remember like the old adage, Tampa Bay, no way Tampa Bay is going to come from Florida into Philly under 30-something degrees and go on the road and win. And what happens? Blaine Bishop gets that bad angle and Joe Jervicius is still running. Rondé Barber just picked McNabb again. I mean, we've seen teams go on the road and pull off upsets. The Giants not only won an NFC championship game in Green Bay, but they also won a divisional round. The Giants won 2 playoff games in Green Bay. The Giants have won in Candlestick. Remember years ago, Pittsburgh used to have top seed. How many big games did Pittsburgh Steelers lose at home? Three Rivers, the new stadium, AFC championships. Home field's not like it used to be in the NFL. It's not. But come playoff time, it is a factor. It's definitely a factor. When you talk about some of these teams in the East Coast, I mean, look, the Rams, to their credit, did they really want to come in the snow and play the Eagles? They played them tough, but that weather was conducive to the Philadelphia Eagles. That weather was tailor-made for the Philadelphia Eagles. In the trenches, muck it up, and hand the ball off to Saquon and let your defense do the rest. The Rams want to drop back and pass. I mean, the fact that Matthew Stafford in those conditions, just to give you an idea, I pulled up the box score from that game. Stafford in just a downpour of snow, a blizzard, dropped back to pass 44 times and threw for 324 yards. He played phenomenal in those conditions. Hurts dropped back to pass 20, but he didn't have to do anything because Saquon had 26 touches for 200 yards. They rushed the ball 34 times for 285 yards in the snow. So in that regard, weather-wise, home field, January, you don't want to play in Philly. You don't. But the Rams, to Scott's point, they gave them their toughest test in the playoffs because they waxed Washington in the NFC Championship. They waxed them. And Green Bay they weren't ready for that game. They just weren't. Look, the Eagles were a great team last year. Phenomenal team. They were a phenomenal team. Detroit, Washington, I'm not ready to say Green Bay, man. I know I'm going to get killed for saying this, but if the 49ers were actually a healthy team, and we saw the 49ers from a couple years ago, you can make the case the 49ers should have won that NFC championship, but Brock Purdy got hurt. I mean, they were left with, the running backs, in a shotgun position. That must have been, you want to talk about frustrating losses. If you are a San Francisco fan, that's probably as frustrating as a loss as that you probably had to endure. I mean, you get all the way, you beat Seattle, you beat Dallas, you get to Philly, and your quarterback gets knocked out early. Your quarterback gets knocked out early, but yet that's a 7-7 game in the second quarter. That was a bad loss. All right, quick timeout.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, couple minutes to play with. Hey, don't forget too, we uploaded all the Back Your Play on Buzzsprout. That's Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast as well. So you can check out, just to go through it with you, just some of the episodes we relaunched or reloaded. All the divisional previews in the NFL. I mean, we hit all of them. And then we started to go through college football, ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12. We started to do some player props as well, quarterback player props, also some futures. Mike chimes in Ohio one more time. Q, I think the Lions are the best team, the best shot at dethroning the Eagles. You might be right. It's a long NFL season. That's why I don't get too, when you watch these games or the season starts, there's going to be some hiccups along the way. It definitely is a long season, but there are certain things that when a team starts to trend in the wrong direction, that's never a good thing. Let me pull up week 1 lines, future look ahead. The allergies today, boys, excuse me. Eagles laying 7 against the Cowboys. Kansas City laying 2.5. That's Thursday and Friday, respectively. Tampa Bay is laying 1.5 on the road against Atlanta. Cincinnati is 5.5. That number is going to move depending upon who the Browns name as a week 1 starter. How about this line right now? And I think it has to do more with the indecisiveness at the quarterback position. The Colts are a 1-point favorite against Miami. New England is a 3-point favorite against the Raiders. Arizona is a 5.5-point favorite against the Saints. Pittsburgh on a road is 3.5 against the Jets. Washington is laying one of the largest numbers, 7 over the Giants. I think that might close at 7.5, 8. Jacksonville, 3-point home favorite. Denver on the road. Denver is an 8-point favorite check that. Denver at home is an 8-point favorite. That'll be Cam Ward's rookie debut on the road, mind you. Always tough for a rookie quarterback. San Fran on the road, 2.5-point favorite over Seattle. The Lions are a 1.5-point dog against Green Bay. Green Bay's hosting that one. The Rams at home. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to put money on the Rams. I just have a sneaky suspicion. Rams 3 at home. Buffalo, that might be the game of the weekend. The Ravens and the Bills. The Bills are a 1.5-point favorite, and then Minnesota on the road, 1 point favorite over Chicago. And I know, like I said, these look ahead lines, just to give you an idea of why I think the Giants are going to struggle. The Giants are dogs against Dallas. They should be 4.5, 5-point dogs against them. The Giants will be dogs against Kansas City. They might be a 10-point dog in that one. The Giants will be a dog. Well, here you go. Now it changes. So we mentioned where would we see the Giants, their first favorite on the road against the Saints. Right now, the Giants are laying 1.5. Go figure. 1.5. That's crazy. But nonetheless, all the pods are up there. And like I said, you can get it on Amazon Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podcast Index. That's Back Your Play, powered from our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Don't forget, we are on TriX57. As always, we encourage you guys to get social with us. Very easy to do. IG and X. Check out their Facebook page, TriX57.com. You can follow me on X and on IG and YouTube at Rich Q on Q, TikTok Rich Q on the mic on this Monday edition of Middays with Q. No plays for today. Wasn't really feeling anything, to be quite honest with you guys. Marlins minus 130. Look at that. And the Astros are the favorite. Wow, when was the last time? Marlins at home, the red hot Miami Marlins. You got the Twins and the Tigers. By the way, the Phillies, Luzardo is going to get thrown out there on the hill tonight. Phils have won 2 out of 3, took 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. And they've got 3 right now against Baltimore. Let's see. Let's give you the rest of the slate tonight. Giants and the Pirates. Royals and the red hot Red Sox. Brewers and the Braves. Yankees on the road. Fried's on the hill against Corbin. The Yankees are, let's see, what do we got? Juice to what? 35, minus 135 for the Yanks tonight. Oof, my goodness. They're so bad. They got to stop this bleeding, man. I gave you their next couple series. Texas, Houston, you got the Texas 2-step. Minnesota, St. Louis. Got to start winning some games here. Let me see. We got Sally, we got Nick, we got Sarge, we got Franchise. Oh, Monday Marcus chimes in. Q, I don't think Embiid's cooked. I know you mentioned it during the monologue. All they're doing is hoping he plays 55 games and they get him ready for the postseason. That's a big ask, my friend. A big ask. If you are a fan of the Philadelphia 76ers. Like I said, availability. We always talk about it. Availability. Accessibility, availability. And right now, I'm just not seeing it. We mentioned that Fox got that $229 million extension. Luka, we mentioned that as well. I did see this. The NCAA March Madness is not going to expand their field. Thank God. This season, thank God. Just leave it alone. Just stop. I don't want 72, 76. Just please, please, please. Remember, the field is 64. Remember that? The field of 64. First round, second round, Sweet 16, Elite 30, Elite 8. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Let's not try to reinvent the wheel here, man. Just after a while, what are we doing? I know people are going to say, well, if you expand it, then you get those higher seeds, have an opportunity to make the Final Four. UCLA was a 11 seed. They played in the Final Four as well a couple years ago, but just leave it alone, please. Do me that solid. All right, last time out. We'll wrap it up on a Monday.
is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, a couple minutes before we get out of here. Remember, we are on the road tomorrow. We'll be back in the saddle on Wednesday. So no Costco this week. He's enjoying his birthday. So we'll have Steve Gardner on Wednesday. We'll also have Lloyd on Wednesday, then bump him to Thursday. Bueller on Friday. Joe Von Alpha, we're going to try to track him down. Also, as I mentioned, James Hasty, former second-team All-Pro with Kansas City, drafted by the Jets. We want to talk a little football with him. He's got a unique data tool, AI-generated tool that he's going to implement or has been implementing, hopefully get the attention of the NFL. Going to talk a little boxing, too, later on in the week. Also, shout out Louisiana Spice, WABA. They got their first win of the season, even though they came back Sunday and lost to Mississippi, 1-3. Having a blast calling those games. You guys got to check it out. Women's ABA. womensaba.com. Follow all the teams on social media, their YouTube channel. They got some really, really good teams. Team in Carolina is undefeated. Mississippi was 2-0, now 2-2. Now they're 3-2. A couple teams in Maryland and DC. And the Jersey Shore Breaks of the TBL, they play tonight, Jersey Shore Basketball League in the playoffs as well. So they got an opportunity to make it to the finals. So a lot of good hoops going on up and down the East Coast, and I really enjoy a lot of these leagues. Fights coming up this weekend, Hard Rock, that's R&B Promotions, Alex Barbosa. That'll be a real good card. I'm going to highlight that and preview that on Friday's show as well, see if I can get a couple of the fighters to jump on for a couple moments. They'll do the weigh-ins Friday, and then the fights are Saturday in the inside the Sound Waves. Not the EDIS, Sound Waves, a Sound Waves venue in Hard Rock. Very good facility. All right, good stuff as always from you guys on this Monday. No plays as I mentioned, but you got a nice little slate of baseball. Seems though a lot of people think it's going to be Washington, Detroit, Green Bay, maybe even Minnesota's a dark horse to knock off the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see how it plays out. We still got a lot of training camp, preseason, NFL season right around the corner. We're going to continue with our matchups, divisional, player props, positions as well, projected stats, props. Also, we'll start to look at some of these heavy week one lines as well. Appreciate you guys chiming in as always. I always encourage you guys to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel at RichQ on Q. Follow Tracks57, Tracks57.com, as well as our Facebook page. And we will be back in the saddle on Wednesday, on the road tomorrow. But as we like to say, have a wonderful Sports Monday. This has been Middays with Q. I'm your host, Rich Quiñones. As always, be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.